Hey everybody, how's it going? Ruben here. Today I'm going to do a video on how to write a song within a song with your guitar solos. So what you just heard there was basically a rhythm track for some solo work that I was asked to do sometime last year that ended up not being used for the recordings, but I think it was a perfect example um, to take that and use that for a little video lesson on how to write a song within a song. And what I mean by that is, from a guitar solo perspective, I think when you do a guitar solo in a song, I think it should be lifting up the song, elevating the song, adding to the song, and not taking away from the song or just filling space. Here's 8 bars just for the sake of having 8 bars and having a guitar solo. If it's not going to contribute and make the song better, um, then I don't think it should be there. I don't think you should have a guitar solo in a song. So in this example, a little bit of history on that session that I was asked to do. Yeah, when I heard the rhythm behind that, where I was going to play, um, I'm a very melodic player. I like to create a piece within a piece. And in all honesty, that solo that you just heard was actually just a one take. Usually I just kind of play by feel. And for, for the most part, most of the time, everything that I want to say, hello, usually comes out in the first take. Everything I want to say with a guitar solo usually comes out the first time I try it, because as I hear stuff in my head, I just play it, and I want to go here, I want to go there, and I just do it. Um, so I did that with that, and unfortunately, it's not what they were looking for. I think they just wanted more, kind of like what I said earlier, just something to fill in that gap, nothing to really um, change the song in any way. So anyway, what I played over, and I'm going to play the progression. I'm looking at my notes here to see if I'm catching everything that I'm supposed to say. Um, but yeah, so I'm going to just kind of play the rhythm behind the solo, and the guitar's tuned down a half step. It's in G minor. So if in the perfect world, it would be F sharp minor, right? But since we're tuned down a half step, or the track's tuned down a half step, I'm using a whammy effect to bring my guitar a half step down. So anyway, I'm going to play the rhythm. It's in G minor, and it actually starts on E flat major. Then it goes up to F major, then back to G sharp minor, then back to F major, then back to E flat major. So it kind of go like this. And it's in that waltzy 6/8 pattern. Da 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 da. So when you have a lot of space like that, like just 3 chords going, rotating back and forth, there's a lot of room for me anyway. There's a lot of music that can be played over that, a lot. um, so I hear so many things going on in my head. And like I said, I'm a melodic guy, and I want to write a song within a song. But before we get to that, I'm looking at my notes. I just want to talk about what I'm playing here today. So I got my old 1999 Ibanez 7627 string. I'm just into 7 strings big time these days. I had one back in 1991 when they first came out. I had a White Universe, beautiful guitar. I love that thing. Should never got rid of it. So anyway, I have this one, and it has these are my signature Donovan pickups. Dear friend of mine, Jeff Donovan, he has a company called Donovan Pickups, and he winds me up on whatever I need. And this is basically just an old school Alnico 5 low to medium output pickup. Nothing crazy, heavy, hardcore metal stuff. It's just, I just like a more vintage sound, you know. So that using GHS boomers ever since I was a kid, and Randy Rhoads used boomers. I've been using boomers. What else? I'm playing into Overloud THU software, using a Bogner Ecstasy model, and just some modulation, delay, and reverb because I just like that big sound. So anyway, enough of that. So you heard the rhythm. So in G minor, you know, and the song's heavy. I mean, you heard that rhythm is pa da da da. You know, it's heavy, it's dramatic, it's intense, it's epic. So usually, I'm a big fan of starting solos on the 2. So whatever the key is in, if I'm like in A minor, you know, I'll start off in B. I just like that sound starting off with that note. And then one thing to say is, you know, when you're in a key and you're playing in key, there's really no bad note. You know, if I'm in A minor and I want to start on B, that's not the wrong note. If I want to start in C, that's not a wrong note. If I want to start on the 4, start on D. That's not a wrong note. If I want to start on the 5, on E, that's not a wrong note. If I want to start on the 6, go down to F sharp. Excuse me, F. Not F sharp, that's A major. F. That's not a wrong note. So there's no note, but there are notes that probably your ears are not used to hearing regularly. Like a lot of people, I just want to hear the 1, the 3, and the 5 because that's what their ears are accustomed to. But, you know, when you're creating music and when you hear music, there's lots going on. Those are colors. That's why you use all the notes that are available to you because you want to add color. You want to be creative. You want to create music. So for this one, though, I did not start on the 2. What I did is, you know, like I said, I wanted some intensity, an epic note to start. So we're in E flat major. But in G minor, which is the key that the solo is in, you have, I actually did start on the 2 of that key, to be honest. So going back to my rule, the 2 on the G minor is A, but when you're playing the E flat major, it's a flatted 5th. So that's where you get that crazy epic tension note. So here's G minor. So my 2 is the A. So that's the 2, that's the A to G minor. But when I'm playing E flat major, which is the key in the chord in that key, so the 5th of that would be B flat. You know, it just doesn't sound heavy or epic. So I went to the 2nd note of G minor, which is the flatted 5th of E flat major, and I got the tension. So you got the diminished type of flatted 5th sound. So we go. So then I just did a little, you know, walking down scale to the next chord, which is back to the G minor. So that, you know, and that's just like a melody I heard in my head, you know, just. Then I just, you know, 7th string, I had to get my 7th string in there, so I went. Just just to have some epic heaviness. So, and let me play the whole solo for you without the tracks. So you can kind of just get a feel for how it is on its own, from a music piece perspective. So. So that's the whole solo, and like I said, I just kind of winged it, and just knew where I wanted to go from the beginning to the end, and how I got there in between is kind of as my heart and head heard stuff, and it just came out. So let's go back to that. So like I said, I started on the 2, which is the flatted 5th of the E flat major chord. So then we're ending on that G minor, but the note I'm ending on is the 5th of that G minor. But I just wanted to go low because, like I said, I wanted to get that 7 string in there. And then from there, I did like this little open string pull-off thing. Again, this is G minor, so here's my open G. I can't sing that hard, but da ga da da ga da ga da ga da. And then I did some, like, if you want to call it, it's like a B flat major scale, because B flat major is relative to G minor. Here's B flat major. It's like an extension of the first position of the B flat major scale. So I just went, again, to that whole waltzy feel. It's really kind of, it almost like forces you to be like super melodic and very kind of waltzy and danceable and sing, and just a very melodic rhythm to play over. So again, I did that extension of the B flat major scale. And then after I did a B flat major arpeggio thing with, I don't know what this picking technique is called. That's kind of like what Eric Johnson, a lot of guys do. I don't know if it's economy picking. I don't think that's what it is. But anyway, it's a combination of picking and your fingers. So I did this ascending B flat major arpeggio. B flat. So I do that, and then I do like a pull-off thing when I get to the high E string. And that I learned, from Randy Rhoads. He did that a lot. And then that last note that I end on, it's kind of a nod back to the very first note of the solo, which is that, because we're starting again the rhythm on that E flat major. So, I wanted that tension. I wanted to revisit and keep that theme going. So I hit that again. So we're on. And then after that, I just play, in the G minor box. some little bend thing, and then this thing that I like doing a lot is this lick. When I can play it right. That it sounds cool, and it almost sounds like it's something that could be done with tapping, but it just doesn't quite have the same attack feel and just the sound. I like controlling those notes, the higher notes with my other finger. And again, I'm using that pick economy, whatever you want to call that. Then after, we throw in the blues scale, basically G minor blues, where we got that flatted fifth of the G minor, which is not in true G minor, but in the G minor blues, you get that flatted fifth. There's that flatted fifth. So after I did that, I stuck that in there, and I got that Glenn Tipton. You hear him doing that a lot. Like towards the end of the You Got Another Thing Coming guitar solo. Those guys back in the day, they use that a lot. KK Downing, Glenn Tipton, Michael Schenker, Gary Moore, a lot of those guys, John Sykes, very blues-based rock and stuff. And I did. See, there's that flatted fifth. But I'm a G minor. So it just sounded cool, so I just did that. Then I just kind of repeated that a little bit. And then went for this another version of, using those same notes, that flatted fifth. Then I just threw in some smudge at the end, and I ended on the chord that the rhythm ended, because there's like an abrupt stop. So just to kind of, give a nod and kind of resolve everything on that chord. So anyway, I hope that kind of helped, as far as like, the purpose, again, going back to what a guitar solo for me is it's another piece of music within the music. And when you hear like the greats, to me, like, especially like Randy Rhoads, guys like that, he really had an ear for melody and music and creating pieces within pieces. That's a big inspiration and influence to me. And, more so than like trying to be a shredder or whatever. There's moments where you can do that, of course, if the song's like, a high octane tune, you're not going to do, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or something on that. But I always try to think of a song within a song. And is it going to help the song? Is it going to elevate the song? Is it going to make it better than what it was? Because if it's not, then either go back to the drawing board and try to come up with something that will make it better, or just don't do a solo and just let the song stand on its own. Anyway, this is kind of long video. I appreciate everybody watching it. I kind of hope it helped anybody. If you have any questions, feel free to put stuff in the comments, and I'll try to answer back as soon as possible. Hopefully I can plan on get some time to do some more of the videos like this. But this one I just felt there was a need to kind of show what I like to do when I create a guitar. So anyway, thanks again, guys, for watching. And this is Ruben Reza, and follow me on Instagram, YouTube. I have music out on Apple Music under Ruben Reza, under the Ruben Reza Group, and under a side project I have called East Angel, which is kind of rocking, old Van Halen type of stuff. But anyway, appreciate you guys this time, and thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.